Hello and welcome to another edition of our Q&A sessions. I'm Gavin from Exclusive Expeditions and we're very lucky to be joined today by the lovely Maria Ersmarker. Hello Maria, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. Now Maria is the Regional Sales Manager for the south of England for Hurtigruten. So today we're going to be talking about Hurtigruten. I'm going to be asking Maria some questions to give you, the viewer, more of an overview of Hurtigruten and what they do offer. Now Maria, Hurtigruten has a slightly different history than most other cruise lines. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and what it is that makes Hurtigruten different?
Absolutely. So we actually set up as a company back in 1893. So next year is going to be 125th year anniversary. So a lot longer kind of history than a lot of the other cruise guys out there, really. So when we set up in Norway, we were never really meant to be anything but a freight service, realistically. We were there for the local people that were living and working along the Norwegian coastline to be able to move themselves and also their goods up and down. Back in those days, it could take up to about 5 months for a letter to reach its destinations. So as you can imagine, having a ship that operated this route obviously made their life so much easier back in those days. And if you've been to Norway, I'm sure you'll agree that it's a very, very beautiful coastline.
I absolutely love Norway. Norwegian fjords, one of my favourite places on earth, absolutely stunning.
Exactly, it's a beautiful part, whether it's the north or the south. So more and more people actually started going out to Norway and using Hurtigruten, this freight service, as a way of actually experiencing the coastline as well, so as a type of cruise. And that's over the years how we've developed into what we are today. So we're still true to being a working service, we still do that when we sail the route that we sail. But we today have 11 ships that operate this route, so it's much more of a bigger operation than it was back in those days.
Because you don't really like the word cruise, do you? Because Hurtigruten's that little bit different, isn't it?
That's it. We fall under the cruise bracket because, of course, it takes place on ships, but we don't like to use the word cruise as such because we're so different from anything else that go to these destinations that we're going to. So we like to call ourselves an experience or a voyage, an adventure, anything like that, really, rather than cruise.
Excellent. So many people are familiar with Hurtigruten's coastal voyages in Norway. What other destinations do you currently offer?
So Norway is the sort of bread and butter that we do. It's where we've operated the longest and it's always going to be part of what we really hold true to our heritage. But we do a lot of other destinations as well. So up in the high Arctic, some of the destinations that we go to are Svalbard, or more specifically Spitsbergen, which is part of Norway, so it's just further north. And it's where you'd go to hopefully see all the wildlife that you get in the Arctic, such as polar bears. You've got the Arctic fox.
Walrus,
absolutely.
Svalbard reindeer,
the little short stubby ones. And also a huge abundance of bird life as well. And of course you go there in the summer months, so you'll see everything in daylight because the sun doesn't actually set when you go up to that part of the world.
And of course in the coastal voyages in Norway as well, you visit so many more ports than you would on a conventional cruise.
Absolutely. So along the Norwegian coastline, we're going into a total of 34 ports. Both some bigger cities like Trondheim, Tromsø, Ålesund, but also a lot more smaller destinations, such as small little fishing villages in the Lofoten Islands, or little small towns right up in the high Arctic of Norway as well.
Do you get a chance to get off in every one of these 34 ports on a longer voyage?
Technically, if you wanted to, you could get off and say you've stepped off at every port that we do, all the 34 ports that we visit. Now, some of the ports are going to be longer. So when you go to a city, you're of course going to have a lot more time to get off and experience the destination that you're in or take part in one of the many excursions that we offer as well. But in some of the smaller ones, because the ships are so tiny, it doesn't take you a lot of time to get off. So you can still go off in these tiny, tiny little villages where you can go get a coffee, or you might have spoken to a local a couple of nights before on the ship who've told you that up this little side street is the best ice cream you're ever going to have in Norway. You just get a feel for what life is like for the local people actually living in these small little ports.
So we've got coastal Norway, then we've got the Arctic, and then Greenland as well?
Absolutely, we do voyages up in Greenland, where you have a chance to not just meet some of the most amazing, hospitable, happy people in the world, the Inuit that live up there, but also seeing some beautiful sights as well. In Greenland is where you have a lot of the ice fjords, so the majority of all the big, beautiful icebergs that you get up in the northern hemisphere would all have originated in Greenland.
And I suppose one of the most intriguing things about visiting Greenland must be, meeting the people from there, immersing yourself in that culture, because it really is quite different to anywhere else in the world.
Absolutely. It's a country that isn't actually that far away from us as such, but their way of life is very, very different from what you and I are used to. And very much so live off the land still, and they're very proud to live the way they do. So we always involve them in all the expedition teams, and we go to this part of the world because they're, of course, no one knows their country as well as they do. So yeah.
And then, of course, then there's the destination which I really view as the ultimate expedition, and that's Antarctica.
Yes, it's one of the last real untouched, unspoiled parts of the world, really. So yeah, we operate in Antarctica. We've been doing it for many, many years now. We've got 3 different ships down there, so depending on if you want a smaller ship or a brand new ship, there's something there for you.
Now, how many? What's the capacity of the ships in Antarctica?
They vary quite. So we've got the MS Fram, which is the smallest ship that we operate. So she carries 200 passengers, so we cap her at that. So she has a slightly different number of landing sites that she's allowed to go to. And then we have the MS Midnight Soul and the brand new ship coming out next year, the Roald Amundsen, and they both sat at 500 passengers. So still small enough to ensure that all the customers have a chance to get ashore as well.
Because, of course, in Antarctica, there's a maximum of 100 people can land at any one time. So do you rotate it so everyone gets a chance to go ashore and do the same things?
Because, of course, all these destinations, the important part is getting our customers onto the ice, onto the land to experience everything there is. So you put in boat groups, and we rotate these groups as well. So whether you're in 1 or in boat group 6, you get a chance to actually get a landing first off. So you can be the first person to set foot on the land each morning, and again, depending on which ship you're on, it's either 1 or 2 landings that you have each day, with this morning or afternoon, or a nice cruise included as well.
Now, are you branching out into any other destinations as well?
Yeah, this year's seen quite a few new destinations for us, and obviously Hurtigruten, that's a company most people associate us with slightly colder destinations, so we have included things like the Northwest Passage, but also places that you wouldn't necessarily associate with it. So we're doing South America and also the Caribbean. So very different from the traditional kind of destinations.
Excellent. Now, moving back to coastal Norway, now a lot of people, when they want to visit coastal Norway, one of the main factors is they want to see the Northern Lights.
Absolutely.
Now, when is the best time to see the Northern Lights?
It is the trickiest question, but probably also the most common question I ever get asked is when is the best time to go see the Northern Lights? And what you need is real dark skies. So we saw Northern Lights from the 1st of October through to the 31st of March. So a full 6 months period where your chances of Northern Lights are there. And we've even started seeing them now. It'll be in the first week of October. There's some very, very good sightings. And depending on when you sail, we'll just set what kind of voyage you're going to have. So if you go sort of October, November time, it's a little bit early for snow, but perfect time to go and see all the wildlife and go out and do hikes. Whereas if you want the full winter experience of dog sledging and snowmobiling and all of that, then I recommend you go sort of after Christmas or January, February, March time. Now,
are you guaranteed to see the Northern Lights? Because if I booked a Northern Lights cruise and I went and I didn't get to see them, I'll be a little bit miffed. Are you guaranteed that you see them?
Pretty much. We give you the next best thing as a guarantee and you're going to see them. So when there's a sighting of the lights, whether it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, halfway through dinner, or indeed 3 o'clock in the morning, the ship will make an announcement. You can hear it out in all the public areas, but also in your cabin. So you could be woken up and being told that the Northern Lights are out, and it's just a matter of getting dressed very quickly and rushing out on deck. So what we say is if you're travelling for 12 days, the full classic round voyage, between October and March, and you don't have a single announcement, you're unlucky enough that there's not a single sighting of the Northern Lights, then we will give you a free voyage the following winter instead.
A full free voyage?
A free voyage next winter.
Well, you can't say fairer than that, that's for sure. Yeah. Now, what different Northern Lights voyages do Hurtigruten offer? Are there different lengths of voyage?
Yeah, so everything is based around our 12-day classic grand voyage, and that's where you get probably the more in-depth experience of Norway. It goes all the way up to Kirkenes on the Russian border and comes all the way back down again, and it gives you the Northern Lights promise, of course. But we're aware that not everyone is time rich and have 12 days to take. So you do also have a shorter version of it, which is called the Arctic Highlights, which is a 5 or 6 day voyage, just that's the tip of Norway. So you're not there for quite as long, but you are in the perfect place for it because the whole voyage takes place within the Arctic Circle, which means you're in the right place to hopefully see the Northern Lights.
So basically, even the busiest person does have that real chance to go and see the Northern Lights with those shorter voyages.
Absolutely.
Great option to have.
Yeah, and both the short one and the long ones come with a number of different regional airport departures as well. So you should have a perfect opportunity to go out there at some point.
Oh, excellent. So, what is a typical day on a Hurtigruten ship, and does it differ depending on the itinerary?
Yeah, it will differ quite a lot depending on whether it's a Norwegian coastal voyage or whether it's a voyage slightly further afield. So when you travel in Norway, like I said, you've got 34 ports in total. So each day you'll have about 4 to 5 stops. Normally one of them is slightly longer, so we're going to big city, you can do your excursions or have a little feeler about where you are in that city. And the other ones are slightly shorter ones, but again, you can still get off and have a look around. Most of the ships will have an expedition team on board as well, so they're there to do little talks and explain what you're seeing that day. So if we are sailing through the Lofoten Islands, they'll give you a little talk about the fishing industry and its heritage there. And then, of course, when you are stopping off in all these little ports, you can get off and have a look around. But it's a very informal, very relaxed type of atmosphere on board. If we go to some of the other destinations, so the high Arctic and Antarctica, they're a little bit more fluid and not so set. We have, of course, an idea of where we want to go and what we want to show our customers, but there are so many things that can influence us, whether it's weather, ice conditions, but of course the main thing is all the wildlife that we're hopefully going to see. So if we have a planned stop, but we've been told that just by sailing on for half an hour, we might have some polar bears, or down in Antarctica, we might have a pod of whales around. Then, of course, we will change the itinerary slightly to give customers that in-depth experience.
So it all really adds to the adventure, doesn't it? You have this sort of loosely set itinerary, but really you don't know what's going to happen.
No.
And the captain of the ship will always make sure that he's in the right place at the right time for whatever's going, whether it be that wildlife sighting or ice formations or whatever it may be.
Absolutely. There's a plan A, B, C, D, E and F. There's always going to be something, so you're never going to be short of things to experience when you're travelling.
Excellent. Well, Maria, now, having spoken to you for the last 10 minutes, I really want to book a Hurtigruten cruise.
Good.
So, how far in advance should I book in order to get the best deal? And are there any special offers I should look out for?
Well, we'd always recommend that you'd book it quite early. So if you know you want to sail on something, as soon as we launch a new season, a new destination, it's always worth starting to look and see what it is you're actually after. Because the earlier you book, you're going to get a slightly better price. You're also going to have the freedom of finding the right ship for you and make sure that actually the cabin that you're into as well is going to be available for you. So the earlier you book will give you a bigger choice of picking the right date, the right ship and the right cabin. And of course, the price I said is going to be slightly better. But we do have special offers and they come out every so often. So at the moment, for example, we've got a no single supplement, which is great for any kind of single travellers that so you don't get stung with a supplement at all. So we have a few voyages between now and January for the no single supplement, and we also have a free flights offer for Norway for next summer, so departures April through to September.
And is that from any airport in the UK?
The free flights are from Gatwick or from London, but we do have different departures throughout the country as well, which do come at a small supplement. But out of London, they are free.
Oh, excellent. I mean, that you're right in what you say in that, the earlier you book, the better, because, we have a lot of inquiries for various Hurtigruten voyages, and sometimes people are disappointed because they maybe want a polar outside, a window cabin, but there's only interior cabins available. So the earlier you book, you really do have that choice.
Yes, absolutely. You can pick the exact cabin that you like the look of, whether it's port side, starboard side, or whatever reason you have for wanting that cabin. The earlier you book, you've got that choice.
I mean, and one ship that's been very, very popular recently is the brand new ship for next year, the Roald Amundsen.
Yes, of course. The Amundsen is going to launch next summer, and she's going to go down to Antarctica for her first season, which runs out for 2018-19. And she's something quite different when it comes to cruising, quite different from some of the ships that we have as well. So she's going to be the world's first hybrid vessel. So she's going to have the capacity of sailing on electrical power only. So imagine going down to Antarctica, you're on a ship that is one of the world's most environmentally friendly ships, but also you're going to sail through these amazing sights and scenery in complete silence as well. So yeah, she's something quite different.
That would be absolutely amazing, and really a sign of the future, I'm sure, with electric hybrid propulsion for cruise ships.
Absolutely. So we got the Amundsen launching summer 2018, and we've got a second ship, the MS Nansen, which we then launched in 2019. So yeah, definitely the way forward for Hurtigruten.
We could call you pioneers of the
cruise
industry.
Absolutely. I think so. I think we're quite groundbreaking with the things that we come up with for our ships. Absolutely.
Oh, excellent. Well, Maria, thank you so much for joining us today. I think it's been very, very informative. I hope you, the viewer, have learned something new about Hurtigruten. Of course, you could book your next Hurtigruten cruise with us here at Exclusive Expeditions. Now, if you'd like to subscribe to our channel, you can do so below. Please also feel free to write any questions in the comments below. We love more questions. We'll be delighted to answer those for you. Please also free to like our Exclusive Expeditions page on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. Maria, it's been a pleasure having you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll see you on our next edition of our Q&A sessions here at Exclusive Expeditions. Thank you so much.